We're so excited to be back.
Episode 4.
Episode 4. We're here talking about dun, 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 credit. We came back to y'all from Valentine's Day. We hope everybody had a wonderful Valentine's Day. Speaking of Valentine's Day, we are back with episode number 4, talking about different ways to love yourself. And for us, we usually start off with a word is for our podcast. And this word is going to be about...
It was about Tom Brady after the Super Bowl party and almost dropped that trophy.
My husband couldn't wait to talk about this, y'all.
Yeah, it was real funny.
He was excited to see the video because now Tom Brady's a human being now. But he said, come in here and see this video.
Yeah, but he's 43 years old. He won the 7th Super Bowl. And he won 6 before with the Patriots. Mm-hmm. But you know how the coach is. He doesn't let him be himself. Yeah. You know, everything's all the Patriot way.
Tom Brady's human too.
Yeah.
He is definitely a human, but he is an amazing athlete, so I don't think he deserves it. But some people have some stuff to say.
It looked like they had a lot of fun. Yeah, they had something to say.
You know, it's always somebody with something to say.
But he didn't care.
He didn't care. He threw that. What was the Heisman Trophy?
I mean, I couldn't even get. I mean, I'm not a Tom Brady fan because he win too much. But
you can't help but give him some respect.
He looked like he had fun. You know.
And then the guy was holding him up as he was walking by. I said, "Oh Lord."
Oh, yeah.
But it's strategic how they never showed him drinking anything. But we know he was toe up. Yeah. So our word we're bringing back love to Tom Brady because Tom Brady, you deserve it.
Yeah, he deserved it.
You have a ball. Yeah. And then they said his daughter texted him, "No, Dad," on the text message right before he did it.
Hear it on the boat. She's on the boat.
She's like, "No, Dad, don't do it."
What if the dude wouldn't have caught it though? You know?
Oh, that would have been awful. That would have been awful. So we are excited to bring you this episode of Credit. We have a lovely guest here sharing her new book, Credit Made Simple, and Bliss Green is here to spit the game about credit, y'all. She's an amazing lady who's creator of Dynamic Women in Charlotte. She's an author, a senior loan officer and prime lending, and we are definitely here and excited for y'all. And what were we doing this for? My husband wants to share this one because it touches our heart as parents and as husband and wife, this subject.
Yeah, because nobody never taught us about credit.
Right.
About the whole process. So we just had to learn on our own.
It's been a journey.
Yeah.
It's been a journey. And we want to help others.
Yeah, we learned a lot.
You know? The hard way.
The hard way, you know.
Definitely the hard way.
Definitely the hard way.
So we want to bring awareness to people who need help with this subject because sometimes you don't know. I mean, what you don't know, you don't know. So we want you to understand that there's light in the tunnel, that you can fix your credit and you can live the life you want to live.
Right.
So with further ado, we want to introduce Bliss Green. Yeah.
Hello.
We are thanking you for coming here. And I brought her book, y'all. This is the book, okay? Credit Made Simple. I brought it because I love it. And I have some quotes that I found out of this book that I want to share just to start off. Many of us were not shown or taught how to create and maintain great finances and with intention. So you can elaborate a little bit. What do you mean by that?
So a lot of times when we talk about our understanding of money, it's based on how we experienced our understanding of money as a child. So that was modeled for us by what our parents and possibly grandparents, aunts and uncles did. And money is an adulting thing, right? That's adulting at its finest. And a lot of times children don't pay attention to the cycle of money and the respect that money deserves, particularly because you just want money for candy, right? And to do whatever it is you want to do. So money doesn't serve you too much purpose other than somebody needs to have it to do to do my bidding. But we have the opportunity to change that.
Yes.
As adults, paying it forward to future generations that money deserves a relationship. Money deserves a relationship with you at an intimate level as a child through your savings and through your intentions and choices, even as a child. And money is to be valued as a child. But most people reserve money for some XXX adult type of affair. My ebook is coming out, Crazy Money. Please do go and support that and you'll understand what that's all about. But if
that sounds something.
Yeah, it is. But if we have a relationship with money as a child, we can get a longevity in relationship out of our life with our finances and with our money. So that starts with what that level of understanding is. And that's what I mean by that, is that most children don't know. So you grow up as an adult that doesn't, you know more, but you don't understand. And then when it comes time for money to need to do something for you, the foundation of the relationship is not there and your money's not performing for you. Your finances are not performing for you. And it's because the relationship is really non-existent, or it's toxic, or it's just fundamentally bad.
Right. And Sydney has some questions we got from some guests that we want to share and ask.
I wanted to ask you, what advice would you give someone who wanted to start rebuilding their credit?
That is a great question. And I think that just starts with the fundamentals. You have to start where you are with what you have today. So many people are like, oh, well, I'm going to wait until my tax refund comes, or I'm going to wait until...
stimulus check.
Yes, the stimulus check. Bad plan. I'm going to wait till a stimulus check comes, or I'm going to, when my ships come in, I'll do better. And that's not what credit is about. Credit is a story about your finances. So it's what you do. I almost want to read that poem right now, but I'm not going to tell you. You got to get the book. Please do support the book. Read the entry. If you don't understand what credit is really about, then having it and or rebuilding it, and definitely maintaining it, becomes a moot point, because you'll end up always at -2 and never square one, and definitely not to where you see other people who have excellent credit attaining. And so it's important for you to start with the fundamentals. That actually starts with saving money. I always say, if there was one thing that you could do to improve your credit, only one thing at all.
Save money.
Save money.
Wow. And we wish someone would have told us that, being a young married couple, being parents, we would have had it so much easier. Well, a little bit easier. Because people are hard-headed.
I'm not sure why, because people are scratching their head like, what are we talking about? We're talking about credit. You're talking about saving money. How do they even correlate? Well, here's the thing. When you say you have no savings at all, you've got bad credit. And we know that the fastest way to wash the slate clean is to pay off collections, to pay off bad debts that you have, right? If you don't have any money,
you can't
do that.
That's
but
true.
When you have the savings and you put the focus on savings, now you have a lump sum of money to immediately take care of a slew of bad debt all in one fell swoop, and then now your credit can immediately rebound from that.
Right.
It's nothing wrong with the trickle effect, right? Do what I can with what I have. So I'll take care of this bill today. In 60 days, I'll take care of this next bill. That's great too, but it may take you a little longer to accomplish that.
I think that's easier than, the first part, what you said about the savings. Because we had to do that the second part. We're going to get this one here. We're going to get this one this month,
All paths lead to Rome. All roads lead to Rome. But what I like to... There's no wrong way as long as you get there. Just don't sit down on the road, the Roman road, right? Just keep moving, whether it's little by little, or if you can slow down so that you can take big leaps. But keep moving forward toward your goal. So there's no wrong path, because you're still living life. You still have obligations that we know nothing about in the world of lending. You might have family members you're sending money to. You might have neighbors that you're passionate about helping, sick and shut in. You might be doing philanthropy work that is near and dear to your heart. This is the beauty of us all being individuals. We get to choose how we spend our money, the personality and persona that our money takes, and the legacies that we're creating for ourselves. You're living your life, and you have a lifestyle, but just do what you can with what you have.
Or you're like us who have a lot of kids. All 5 kids have been taking our money.
Yeah, you do. And people experience shame when it comes to their finances.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't buy into society that everybody is a real housewife or real influencer or star. You do not need 50,000 followers following you. You do not have to have a beach house or a mountain house or a lake house. granite countertops and stainless steel appliances.
That's
God
true.
just blesses the child that's got his own mortgage. And if you need help doing that, please do call me so that you can close with Bliss. But the most important thing is that you got to start from where you are so that you can get to where you want to be. And that's what we want to help you do.
Right.
Okay, I have another question for you. What are the best resources that have helped you along the way to learn about credit?
Okay, so in my book, Credit Made Simple, Dollars and Common Sense, one of the things that I talk about is just the fundamentals. And I start off with that proverb that actually talks about when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And that's very important because when you're young, we all know we're supposed to be saving for retirement. That's part of adulting too, right? But what 22-year-old is like, yeah, just got my Roth IRA, hitting that 15%. Yeah, me and this Dogecoin are going to ride out. Like, no. I mean, you're thinking about having fun. You're thinking about living life. You're thinking like Vegas, like COVID Vegas, like whatever you're dreaming of or thinking about. Being young, having fun, drinking Pepsi. living in the moment. But we all have the opportunity to change that conversation and get our younger people to be Fire Nation, financially independent, retired early. But most young people are not thinking about that, right?
They're just thinking for the moment and now.
They are thinking for the moment and now. And we do have to think about our retirement. Let me make sure I answered your question. Say it again.
What are the best resources that have helped you along the way to learn about credit?
You tell a young person, you know you're supposed to be saving for retirement, and they are washing it over their head, right? But it's not that they don't know that they're supposed to be doing that. They're not ready to receive it. So even if you try to tell people the right thing to do, if they're not ready to receive it, it's a moot point. But I assure you, when that person turns 41, all of a sudden they go,
I gotta start saving for retirement.
You're like,
somebody told me I need to start saving for retirement. So now I'm ready. Now I'm ready to look up information. Okay, we live in technology age. Google it.
Right. It changes.
Just to get the verbiage, right? And then call Bliss. # close with Bliss. Call Bliss. Call the Gooches. Find out, who you know that has had mentors, people poured. Start with the most successful person you know. Honestly, for me, the most successful independent entrepreneur that I knew as a young woman that owned their own business was a Black hairstylist.
Okay. Yeah.
That was the first time it actually came to light that you can write your own ticket. And it was my cousin, Verlene. Big shout out to Verlene in East Point, Atlanta. And I did not even understand what that really meant until I actually met my hairstylist that I had started going with and saw how successful he was. And I was like, well, the first person who ever did that for me was my cousin Verlene. She never actually sat down and talked to me about any of the things that she did, but it was her example of being able to travel the world and live her life and go back and get her education at a later point in time to help all of her family members. These are just things that I watched her do.
So find an example.
By example, find some mentors. Don't be afraid to ask for a mentor. And you take what you want from them, leave what you don't. Nobody is perfect, But if somebody is emulating something you want, a real estate investor, and you want to know how to start investing in real estate, talk to them.
Right.
Even if they're not in your local market. You see somebody who's doing it in LA, somebody who's doing it in DC, someone that's doing it in Chicago, reach out to them and say, hey, I've been following you. I like what I see. Can you talk to me? Can you send me information on how you got started and the steps that I need to take? If you ask, you will receive.
Definitely.
But if you buy my book, you'll also get a list of resources, and I would start online. Definitely. Federal Trade Commission is all about consumers and what resources are available to you as it relates to finances and budget. So Federal Trade Commission.
Okay.
I have a question for you that we got in. What's the best ways to begin establishing credit for someone who's ready to start?
Again, fundamentals.
Fundamentals.
Saving saves lives. And the reason why I say that, one of the methods that I love to employ is working with banking financial institutions that actually do secured installment loans.
Okay.
Secured credit cards. These are two different things, right? In order for you to do any security, what is that?
You need some money.
Savings, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So you've got to start off with some type of collateral to give them. This is about behavior patterns.
Definitely.
And without the savings, the budgeting, you don't have a foundation.
So would you say like the savings disciplines them enough to get ready for that journey?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because, and we may talk about this a little bit later, but one of the ways that you know that you're ready for home ownership and to start applying for loans of any type, right? Auto, home, installment loans for recreational vehicles, whatever your lifestyle is expanding to, 2x2 rule. Have you been able to keep stable housing for the last 2 years? I mean, because if you can't keep a roommate and you can't keep a landlord for the last 2 years for whatever reason, doesn't even matter. Maybe you're crazy. I don't know. But if you haven't been able to keep stable housing, you might not need to be buying a house, right? Maybe the first goal is, can I keep stable housing?
Right.
Okay.
Second thing, because we look on a 2-year, we approve lending on a 2-year look back. So housing, employment. Have you been able to keep a job for the last 2 years, right? And okay, has at least consistent income for the last 2 years? Have you been able to pay all of your bills on time over the last year with no late payments, right? Any debts that you have or obligations, utilities, all of those things. And can you do all of that and still save money?
Great. That's great advice. And it's something that people need to hear, because as our journey started, we just went out there and tried to get a home loan, and we got sadly just said the same thing you just told us.
Right.
Sit down and try this some years later. So we had to put in that work. So that's great advice for people who want to start thinking. If you're starting to think about it, then that's definitely great advice.
Absolutely. So 2x2, just take it, in the last 2 years. And if you're starting from today, what do the next 2 years of my life need to look like before I embark on a lending process? Like, do I feel like I am stable? If I was going to loan someone money and it were me coming to talk to me, would I actually give it to them? Be honest about that. I know you love you, but if you didn't know you and you came with see what happened was story, would you give yourself money? And that's kind of self-explanatory.
Right. So speaking of the home buying process, when you evaluate someone in the process of buying a home, what are you looking for in a person that's really going to be eligible for buying a home?
Shalita, that is an excellent question. On my YouTube channel, I recently did a video talking about this. Credit score really equates to an interest rate and a general admission ticket to actually be able to have a conversation with the lender.
Okay. But I never knew that.
Credit content generates an approval. Okay. So it's not one thing. Most people think I have a great credit score, so I shouldn't have any problems getting approved. Well, you can have a great credit score, but then you don't make enough money to qualify for the house that you want.
Right.
So we can't approve your loan. You can have a great credit score, but you don't have enough money to make the deposits because you missed the fundamental savings bit, right? As an established discipline. So if you can't bring the money required from you to the table, then we can't make you a loan. So one aspect alone does not make an approval. We look at your entire picture together.
That's
right? So that's credit,
good thing.
Income, your debt to income ratio, right? What's reported on your credit, and some liabilities that are not reported on your credit, and your assets. How much savings do you have? Again, savings saves lives.
And I want to share this quote from your book. When you can afford your habit, it's called a lifestyle choice. When you can't afford it, it's called an addiction. That was deep, y'all. I read that. I said, ooh, I love that. You can elaborate on that, because I think that it hits home for a lot of people.
So that is actually something that's very personal to me. no judgment here, because what we're really talking about is behavior, right? Because what is credit? Again, it is a story about your behavior. And who's telling the story? A third-party algorithm. It's not in its feelings. It's just repeating what it saw you do. And what is it seeing you do? Well, it's seeing you spend your money, and how you spend your money. It's seeing your non-sufficient funds in your bank account. It's seeing your going over the limit in your bank account. It's seeing all of these late fees that you're paying in your bank account. It's seeing you max out your credit cards and maybe pay them off every month. But every time it looks and checks, you've maxed out your credit card. And then it's like trying to be your friend, but you keep not being the type of friend it wants to write home about. And then you're like, why are you always dissing me? Like, why can't you support me? Support me, money. Support me, finances. And it's kind of like, do something supportive. Yes. So, yeah, it's really important to deal with your truth and your reality. And the number one thing, these are facts. Credit is about discipline. And if you do not have discipline, your credit is going to reflect that. And when we say you have good credit, it means that you have disciplined yourself enough to be rated as a good credit risk. And that is all we're talking about here. What are your habits?
I loved it when you told me, and this is when it hit home and kept it real. She said, give credit a name. I said, that is so good. Give it a name. I love that because it makes it personal.
It does make it personal because we go around dragging our imaginary friend everywhere we go. And we want that imaginary friend to open the door for us. We want that imaginary friend to pick up the tab. And we want to ball out in front of all of our other friends. And then we want to be like, oh, you're good for it. Come on, swipe that card, imaginary friend. Like, be good to my other friends too. Like, I'm good for it. You're good for it. Don't act like that. Don't be funny. But your money is looking at you like, I'm not being funny. You don't respect me. If you treated your money like that dear friend or that secret lover, you'd have a different relationship with it, right?
Definitely.
If you treated your money like your beloved grandmother, husband, or wife, you would treat it a little differently. Give your money a name.
I think in our podcast, we want to build relationships. So relationships with money is a big thing. So this book, and I'm telling y'all, this book is amazing. The pages are worn because I've read it. Credit Made Simple, Dollars, and Common Sense is so good. I mean, just as a common sense type of thing. It says common sense so many times on here, but some people just don't know.
Right.
So this book, you guys have to go. I found it on Amazon. I got it on Amazon, y'all. But how many other places is it?
It's at most online retailers.
Okay. Yeah. So we wanted to share this book with you and just share some of her wisdom and amazing knowledge about it all and just kind of build relationships with money because that affects everything else.
Can I tell a little backstory on that?
Yeah.
So, I don't profess to be a guru. This book was written, it is a textbook answer, but it's really a big solution for my own personal life. And it's the solution that I've provided for clients to get their deed in their name every single time. Because it's systematic, it works, right? It continues to work, and it's not a destination, it's a journey. Like, if you stop dieting, you gain weight.
Right.
And so that's not the intended result that you want. You have to continue it and keep up with it. And so it's never a destination. It's always a journey. And I want you to know that it's literally a love letter from things that I've had to tell myself. Like, you stepped on my toes when you started talking about addictions, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you cannot give up the non-sufficient fund fees, that means you're addicted to poor choices and decisions.
Right.
And you've got to figure out how to let that go and to start reprogramming yourself and making healthy choices and decisions. And then let's also be realistic. If you are spending your money on chemical substances and things, and people are, we have addictions, real addictions. The difference between your lifestyle choice and your being an addict is defined particularly by your judgy friends as your ability to afford it.
Right.
And that's what I meant by that is like, you know, what's the difference between somebody who likes to party and the person we call a junkie?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing.
Right.
No judgment here.
No, I agree. It just needs to come out.
It's true.
It's true. It needs to come out. And someone needs to hear that information.
They do.
Mm-hmm.
They do. And there's help for us all. We all need help. Hi, my name is Bliss Green, and I need more discipline in my life every day. And my love money persona, and I need a better relationship every day. But the difference is I know that, and I'm working on my money persona, right? And you can too. # you can too.
Yeah. And then with 2020 and COVID and a lot of people losing jobs, it's so important to build on what you want the right way. I see, you know, people losing people, going through so much, you know, trauma last year. It kind of reevaluated a lot of people's opinions on how they want to go forth this year. So I think jumping into this relationship with money, it affects everything.
Yeah.
It does.
Credit affects everything. We learned, you know, when you want to apply for something you want and you get grown, like she said, it's kind of one of those eye openers that you can start now. It's never too late. And if you don't have someone in your family and dynamics that can teach you or help you, find that person.
Right.
It's very important to find people that are doing, not talking,
Right.
but that are walking the walk every single day about the life that you want to lead, that are exhibiting the behavior patterns. And this goes for any aspect of our lives, right? For those that are looking for the path to enlightenment, those gurus that can teach you how to detach from yourself and find enlightenment, right? For those who go to church, those who are teaching you to walk that straight and narrow walk, right? And that pathway to peace and joy and fulfillment and all the fruits of the spirit, all that we know, right? But join arm in arm with someone that needs to take that journey, and that's someone that's further ahead in that journey with you, particularly when it comes to your finances. And I talk about this in my book. When you choose to make that journey on your own, your circle is going to change.
Definitely.
It has to change. Because if you could help yourself, you would have helped yourself by now. But when you realize that you need help and you start to move, your whole camp is not moving with you. One day you're going to look up and they're not going to be there. Man,
Yeah.
I wrote this book so that you do not have to get to the mountaintop alone. It's lonely up there.
Yep.
And if the people in your family, your A1s, your day ones, if they're not with you when you get there, don't let it be because you didn't invite them and they didn't know how to come with you. Buy the book for them.
I love it. Because generational, like sometimes it's so much going back that they don't know. And we talked about that.
Right.
So you could be that one person that is getting the knowledge and can spread it through your family. Not saying they're going to receive it, not saying they're going to take it, but just when you, like you said, we talked about this and you said it before, give back to people, bring awareness to it, can make generational bonds break and change the dynamics for your children, your children's children, if you have children.
Right.
So that's what we are interested in trying to do with this podcast episode. And grateful for you to come here and share. And we want to, where can we find you at on social media?
My brand is LendingBliss, LendingBliss. And so you can find me on LinkedIn, on Instagram, #DemBabies, on Facebook and Twitter. Actually, I'm trying to join the Twitter nation, and I would love to connect with you and talk about improving your credit story, and of course, helping you to get more houses in your name and create generational wealth.
Right. Make these changes this year, guys. So reach out to Bliss. Get the book. Like I said, Amazon. Credit Makes Simple, Dollars and Common Sense. You guys gotta get it. Okay. And Bliss is a wonderful, amazing person. She's a beautiful woman and mom. And we found each other working through some nonprofit here in Charlotte, working together, volunteering in the community. And I think we're thankful for you to make it to our podcast.
Yes,
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And so we want to make sure we'll put all her links and her information to reach her up on our podcast. It'll be up here, but we wanted to make sure you shared that for the people audio that are listening in. So yeah.
I'm wishing you all abundance. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. And for all our fans, we wish you abundance as well.
Right.
And our next podcast, just to close out, will be on family dynamics and relationships. It's been brought to our attention that sometimes the outside family can affect your inside family. So we're going to be touching base on episode number 5, y'all.
Oh, that's going to be a good one.
Yes. We're going to get down into the nitty gritty of that one.
Yes, that's going to be a good one.
Hey, it was requested by our fans. So thank you so much. God bless. And we thank you for joining us. Until next time.